All right, welcome everybody. I am Paddo, and with me is MrCubez, and we're going to be doing an episode of Bloodborne here, right coming at you. MrCubez, how you doing today, man?
Doing pretty good, man. Doing pretty good. Actually, one of the better days. My hands are like not hurting at all today, so it's like very great.
Oh, the dream.
The very dream. I was out job hunting today, but I was the moron. So I took my CV with me, but I forgot all my applications for the job. So after I left home, it took me about an hour to get to where I was gonna apply for jobs because I live out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
I realized, wait, fuck, I forgot all my applications. And then I went around to the stores I was gonna apply for anyway, and they're all, yeah, you got an application with you? No. No. That was not the smartest thing in the world.
Yeah, that's one of those just awkward moments, if you will. I like how you have it copy and pasted. See,
I have
you have the good manner copied already, ready to go.
Nah, I have a keyboard called Corsair Vengeance 95K.
Okay.
Basically, it has these 18 macro keys built into it, so I have this program on my computer where I can basically pre-program them to do whatever I want. So I have a bunch of different ones. I have good game, well played, have fun. There's also some Twitch spam bullshit, some league shit. I have shit. I can have three different profiles, and I have stuff programmed for all of them.
Yeah, it makes sense though, man, because then
nice.
you can just save those hands on the typing, man.
Mm-hmm.
I wondered, do you also have BM ones saved, so you can
Yeah, on one of my other ones, I have a total of 18 BM ones saved.
I knew it.
I used those when I played other card games, for instance Scrolls. It was yeah.
All right, so how did you get into tactical CCG gaming?
Oh, geez, that's a long time ago. I guess that's when I started playing Magic. So essentially, when I was in, what was that? It was public school. I don't know how this translates to Americans. Basically, in in Denmark, we have from your 0 to 6, you basically go in kindergarten or preschool or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then you start in grade 0, as we call it, and then we go from there. As soon as you hit grade number 2, you're allowed to go to these after school things because your parents they need to not come and pick you up all the time, right?
Yeah.
So when I started there, we called them a SFO. That's the Danish term for them. It's basically just a place to hang out for kids while their parents are still at work, right? Anyway, so when we moved to the city I'm currently living in, I used to live in something called Roskilde, and then we moved here when I was 10. So that's in about 2nd to 3rd grade, when I really started to getting to know people over at the institute there. I started they were playing Magic the Gathering, and I started getting into it. And at the time, we were the dumb kids, right? We were playing the green fatties for 11 mana, and we felt like fucking bosses because the first guy that played it won the game. And then I started getting more and more into it. And at one point, I started getting so into it that I started just beating everyone down there. And then I asked my dad if he could take me to a store because I wasn't very old at the time. So he took me to the game store in the old city Roskilde where I used to live. And I had a blast. It was a lot of fun playing there. So the first time I went, my first round of Constructed, I played against the manager of the store.
Yeah.
And I was playing this shitty deck. I was playing this red-white flanking, if that explains anything to anybody, right? It was back in Ravnica, the old Ravnica, and he was playing Dredge. And Dredge is basically this combo deck that puts the entire deck into the graveyard and uses that as its resource. And as my kid old self, I had no idea what the fuck was going on. I couldn't even read the cards. So my dad had to sit there. He didn't even play the game. He had to understand everything that was going on so he could explain it to me. And I just got decimated. I had a bunch of fun. So after I'd done that a while and I kept playing down there, I started playing this mono black discard deck because I figured, hey, I'm not very good at the deck, so if I can simply make it so my opponent can like literally play no cards the entire game, I'm probably gonna have a better time because then I'm not faced with like horrible amount of decisions that I don't know what the fuck to do. So I started doing that, and that and that went very well. I got to it was the first time I ever got in top 8. I ended at second place, getting beaten by the guy that I'm currently sharing my collection with. And it was a ton of fun. I've like ever since then I've started like I've just keep up with Magic from that point onwards, and it's about like 9 years ago or so. I'm still having a ton of fun with it. I don't play a lot of Constructed nowadays. I do play a ton of Limited, like Draft and the like. I try to at least play Limited once a week on Moto, but currently when I'm unemployed, I don't really have the money for that. But other than that, I really try to keep up with that, and I really try to do my best to like keep being very good at it.
Gotcha. So how'd you find Duelist?
Well, there's a bunch of people. There's like Saracen, Quincy, Joseki, one of the current devs, Akratar, Dranreb, and those guys. I've known them for like 2 years now. I was looking for a new card game because I hadn't played like any card game really in a while, and I really wanted to get back into it. I really like card games, as like probably indicated by now.
Yeah.
And as I started playing it, it started reminding me a lot of a game me and Saracen and the other played. It's called Feria. Back when it didn't change, when it didn't have Strike Back, the game had massive flaws. Don't get me wrong. It was like razor edge balance, and like if the one guy that made one mistake lost the match. It was horrible, but it was fun as fuck. And then I started playing. Then I started like getting into Duelist, obviously, and then I started like really seeing those kind of aspects in the game, and I really liked that. I thought it was a really great game from when I first started playing it because it reminded me a lot of why I thought Hearthstone was good, because it's so easy to get into, right? Like it's so easy to understand, to learn, to comprehend.
Yeah.
But it's at the same time it has this massive amount of complexity involved because of how the game like interacts with the board, right? That's a very key component of why Duelist is such a great game. And I don't like this.
I don't think anybody does at this point. No one's a fan.
What do we do? I'm like dead to all the things. But yeah, no, I started really liking Duelist after that, and I really started enjoying it. So I've been playing for about 2 months now. Something like that.
Right on. So, you talked a little bit about like the there's like no like strike back and stuff. Like, how do you feel about like when they move to the hand changes? Where like it used to be like you had 4 cards and you just played and everything cycled. Now you actually like there's like card advantage is a thing. Like how has the game changed for you in that aspect?
I love it. I absolutely love it. I thought that the game before it had flaws, right? Like the game tended to be, well, if I don't go super ham like right now, I probably lose. Like you couldn't really start playing like cards for 7 mana that didn't have an impact as soon as you played them because like you were losing out on like drawing cards because you had it in your hand for so long.
Yeah.
I really think the card draw change was a very good change. I think it makes a lot of things more viable, like more control-oriented strategies is obviously a lot more viable. I'm still not a huge fan of us going down from 4 cards in the starting hand to 3 because it messed with a lot of the basic maths about like how many 2-drops do you want in your deck to like be able to do something on turn 2, for instance. But I still think it's a very interesting change that essentially brought about mostly good things. I really do think that back before, for instance, Lion was changed, I think we had some problems where combo decks were just too good because they weren't getting punished by holding cards because they were always drawing cards. Like there was this balance off before if you were playing like inner focus combos, right? With like you played Dagger Kiri at the time because it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
you wouldn't really get punished. At the time, you would get punished for just like sitting on a Dagakiri and in focus if you didn't have the rest of the combo, because you wouldn't be drawing additional cards. But right now, you don't really do that. I actually think that's a good thing after they've changed a lot of the combos. So now that they've taken like the Dagakiri, they've nerfed Dagakiri, they've taken Rush out of Lionheart and those kind of things. I think the game overall became a lot more healthy in like a game sense from... It kind of went from a perspective where aggressive decks had a massive advantage over defensive decks.
Yeah.
And like now the combo decks are also kind of a part of it. And I really think it opens up space to make actual combo decks, although I don't think we have seen that yet. I don't think we've seen a deck that like purely goes for the combo. We've seen like Songhai go for the combo, like with the occasional like burn spell in there. Yeah. And that's fine.
Oh, well, no one expects that.
Yeah, none does. So I really think it was a good change. I think it made it so a lot more strategies were viable. It also opened more like card designs because it made stuff like Elusian Lore Master, Twilight Sorcerer, Artifact Hunter, those kind of cards a lot better, which I really, really enjoy. Especially right after the change, I was like, how the hell am I ever going to make a deck that isn't just going to run out of cards? Because I had the mentality that I was going to play like 22 drops in my deck because I needed to just like put out my hand.
Yeah.
And then like I started like Lore Master. This card is insane. And I just started playing Lore Master. I started playing Twilight Sorcerer. And I really, really enjoyed it. So yeah, I definitely think the card draw changes was very good for the game, especially in the long run. I kind of tend, especially because we're in a pre-alpha, right? I kind of tend to like look at the game and say, okay, so where's this game gonna be in like 5 years? Huh?
Yeah.
Like, where's it gonna be in just a year from now when it's like actually released, right? And it's just, I think the current way of like progressing, I guess, is a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
It is really good. I think they've opened up a lot of design space, and I think they're trying to do that with like the Songhai changes that have been going on. How the like Abyssian has been shaped a little bit, how Magmar has been shaped. So yeah, I definitely think it opens up more possibilities for players to do more things, and I think that's what the developers intend, right? Like they don't want players to be forced to play aggressive strategies all the time.
Yeah. What would you say is like your style of play? Like what is there like a style that you prefer to play? Like does it change?
Attrition-based control decks.
Yeah.
I want to be the guy that at the end of the day sits and laughs at the opponent because hey, I just played a Shadow Nova that did 30 damage to your face. I've done that before. It is very bad manner to just sit and laugh at your opponent, but it's amusing as fuck.
I could see how it could be very, very amusing to you. So does that mean like what currently is like your favorite faction? Like are you like I know you played Magmar for a little bit, but like is Abyssian your home since you like that's kind of your style?
Abyssian is my home because it's the first faction I started playing. Then I went over to Magmar. I still have Magmar stuff available, but like after they changed how Fractal worked and after they changed how how Artifact Hunter was kind of good, I kind of didn't really like Magmar Control. I definitely like the Magmar Control decks as a pure control deck more than I like Abyssian because I really think Abyssian suffers from like the problem of having like not enough healing against specifically Songhai, for instance.
Yeah.
Where I just think that's a real big bummer. This is so awkward. What do we do?
The biggest dervish.
Yeah.
Well, Dunecaster, I guess. He's technically not a dervish.
But I really like Abyssian. I don't really like Abyssian per se. I don't enjoy the aggressive playstyles. For instance, I don't really enjoy playing with or against Songhai. Because it feels to me very much like Magic the Gathering's like mono red burn decks or like goblin decks. And those were like never the matchups that I enjoyed playing from like my perspective. I understand why my opponent finds it hilarious because I'm dead by like turn 8 and I just died. Right? But I get why people can find it amusing, and I don't mind playing it like from the control perspective because it gives me something that I know I need to play around specifically.
Yeah.
But other than that, if I can, I will always play a combo deck. Even like no matter how many people hate me for it, I will do it because that's what I enjoy. Like I really enjoy the matchups where not everything is focused around the board, right? Where everything is mostly focused out of what can I do and what can my opponent do? Like what can both me and my opponent accomplish in a turn? Those are the matches that I find incredibly enjoyable, especially because they're so hard to do correctly. So at some point, I go, so I've made 10,000 mistakes this game, but you made 200,000 mistakes this game, so I won. Woohoo! I like the games where it's kind of like you have to try and look for signals from the opponent. That's a Magic the Gathering term for like when combo decks are about to go off. So like, do they need something in play before they go off? How much mana do they need? When can I expect it? What can I do to like stop them from doing it? Those kind of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what advice would you give to new players? Like, if they're hopping in, they're like, MrCubez, Senpai, like, you know, like, teach me the ways. Or like, how do I get better quicker? Like, what advice would you give them?
So first of all, once you like the actual first thing I would recommend to players, like when they join the game, is don't open any boosters. None. Go in and try and figure out what the identities of all the factions are. Try and understand the factions so that you can understand like what does every faction in its core concept try to accomplish, right? So like try and understand that Abyssian tries to kill their own shit. Try to understand that Songhai just wants to kill the opponent every game, you know? After you've done that, you can then go in and you can open all your packs, and then you can try and make decks for the faction you really like. Like try and find the one faction you like out of the basic decks. Just go into sandbox mode or whatever. After you've done that, then like try and open your packs, try and make a deck, and like if that deck fulfills what you expected from the entire faction, then I think you should start like looking at like what other cards are there in the faction, like what can I essentially do, and like from that you have essentially gained an idea of what all the factions are capable of. You've also gained an idea of what can I expect from other factions because you've played them. It's a lot about practice, right? I think because of the positioning matters in the game, I think the game is so hard to understand that it's very hard for a player just to sit down and say, well, these things are good, right? Like, sure, you can explain to them the openings. Like, I have the positioning post on the forums where it's like it explains that the most common opening is when you go 2 forward and play a creature in any diagonal position instead of like playing otherwhere, because then you can reach the mana, so you can like have more mana for the next turn.
Yeah.
But like anything more than that, where we go into like what is like the strategy for the game, like how do I win 90% of all my games? It's like I can't tell you.
Yeah.
It's about learning, right? Like you need to learn the game, and once you've actually sat down and you've learned how the game works on this level, then you have an understanding of like what can you expect from everything, and you've gotten a lot better. So I really think it's about practice. Sure, we can sit here and like talk about like what are the generalized ideas of what is good, right? Like it is probably not a good idea against Magmar to come units up in like this kind of like horseshoe formation, and then you just like marches a war beast in, and suddenly your entire board is dead. So like we can go over those things, but it's like very hard to just sit down and say, well, this is how you play the game correctly, this is how you don't play correctly, and that's just it, you know?
Yeah.
You go to the corner. We don't want to look at you.
You're on timeout.
Yeah. So yeah. There's a lot of great players out there that have given you the advice you really need to understand the game and to really do well. Take the advice, and then you will get better if you just keep playing. Don't sell yourself short because you keep losing, because there's a stepping stone, right? Like any TCG has a stepping stone of you need to understand the cards. That's the main thing. If you understand most of the cards of the game, how they interact, and you understand what you can expect from factions, the game is going to be a lot easier for you to pull off like correctly most of the time.
Yeah, what would you say, like, for example, like what are the first like tiers of kind of understanding that like you went through where you were like okay, like now I've leveled up, like, and like how did you get there?
Well, when I first started with the idea that I always go into every card game understanding and telling myself I am shit at this game. I suck.
That's
I am literally the worst player. And then I very quickly understood, like I started reading all the cards. That's what I do when I join most card games. I started going through all the cards, trying to understand, like, what can I expect from these things. And then after I'd done that, then I came to a position where suddenly I'd understand the game, and then it was all about experience. Like after, like I had like stepping stone of understanding the cards and then starting to play the game. But there's a massive stepping stone from that to understanding how to position correctly. I still make infinite mistakes in my games regarding positioning. It's incredible. Like, I would argue that any player that plays this game on any level makes a ton of positional errors every game because none of us have had the time to sit down and figure out the correct move in every situation because it's just not possible.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, like there are stepping stones to understanding the game, and I also went through them. I will say that like I've had some of my friends try the game that have had like actual no TCG experience before, and they had a harder time like getting over the hurdles than I did because I had like some form of pre-existing knowledge. But like it's not that I didn't have a hard time just because I had played Magic for so long.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think. Do you think there's like there kind of is that natural inkling from a lot of like previous CCG players? It's like they come in, they're like, I think I should be able to like understand this because like I'm applying 1-to-1, but in reality, it's definitely not.
I think that's there like 90% of the time.
Yeah.
I think it's very much about players like just like saying, hey, I've played a lot of TCGs before. I went Legend in Hearthstone like 3 months in a row. I'm the best. And then they start playing the game and they actually realize their shit. I think it's a very important like mind frame to have when you join any game, any multiplayer online game that isn't like all based on math. You're gonna be shit for the first like 50 games, if that's what it takes. It can take 10 games, it can take 50 games, it can take 100 games, but there is a stepping stone, there is a massive hurdle of understanding how the game works. It's not gonna come natural to anyone. Unless you go from like Dota to League where the basic mechanics are essentially the same, right?
Yeah.
But sure, you can argue that because you understand the basic mechanics, you're still like a step ahead. Sure you are. But there's still a massive stepping stone after that because even though you understand the like basic concepts of the game, you're still not good. You still have major issues. We're dead. Fuck.
This guy.
Yeah. So flee to the corner.
So if I gave you the reins to like to make a change to the game, like I'm just like, all right, like you get to pull all the levers, like you've kidnapped and stolen Eric Lang's powers for a day, like what is the change that MrCubez would make to do it?
I would not presume to steal Eric's powers ever.
Okay, fine. So let's just say like Eric was nice enough to say like, MrCubez, I'm gonna be your magical genie for today, and you get to make one change. Like what would your change be?
Remove Jax from the game.
Oh really?
I absolutely hate the card. I detest how it functions. I just think it's a card that punishes players for like for instance, it's the worst when you're against a Vitruvian player. First of all, it buffs Portal Guardian to no end, right? There's really no way of playing around them playing Jax, especially not if they have like Crystal Wisp. So like turn 1, they move, play Crystal Wisp. The next turn, then they're gonna go from 2 to 3 on their turn. Then they're gonna go to 4 because of Crystal. They collect the mana and they Jax. Okay. And the turn after that, they're gonna like third wish you and do like what? 20 damage to your face, you know? Like, it's horrible. I just think it's a card that blatantly ignores positional things in the game, which I really do not like.
Yeah.
I do not like that the card simply gets to ignore, like, the positioning things that every other player, every other card in the entire game has to abide by. I think it's a card that very much, like, puts a player in a position where he either he just loses to the card, or he has to fuck up his own positioning if he doesn't have, like, Breath of the Unborn, Tempest, Ghost Lightning, you know, to answer it immediately, that he is just going to be so far behind that it doesn't even matter. We're dead.
Unless Epic replays.
No, we're just dead.
Yeah, but maybe he's not smart. That's gonna be my, that's my excuse.
Oh!
Where do you put it?
Victory! Not dead. No, fuck! Okay, suicide.
Yeah. Well, he can still step in on top of the creep, but I don't know if he's gonna think of that. That's the game of chicken we're gonna play here. It's like, does he step on the creep to kill you, or does he just die? Oh gosh, this is gonna be entertaining, frankly.
Okay. Do we win or do we lose? That's the question. Creep is not very good. Not very good. I just find it enjoyable.
Oh, I do too. It was actually one of the things that actually was my favorite part of Abyss, even after changes.
I hate jacks. I think there's some problem cards in the game. I think creep especially provides a massive problem for like space for creep, because you can't make like 10 creep generators, because that's going to be ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
Then they all have to cost like 6, 7, 8 mana, right?
Yeah.
I also think Sarlacc poses a long-term problem for stuff like Dark Sacrifice and the like. I don't think Jax poses problems. I just detest the card.
I figured it out. Dang it!
No, because that doesn't kill it on, like, it doesn't kill it now, it kills it at the end of the turn, and the way it works is that my applies of damage apply simultaneously, so his general dies before the healer dies.
That makes sense. So
unless he heals himself for 9, 13, so he needs to heal himself for 10. Earth Sphere, boys? Then we win. And he needs to block this.
Also, he could just walk to the left and hit you, but you know, whatever. Like...
well played, bro.
Oh, wow. Wow. Oh, he gave you hope and then he stole it.
No, this doesn't kill me.
Yeah, it does. Doesn't the Myra die? Oh, no, it... Oh, yeah, you're right.
It dies at the end of my turn. That's what I was saying.
Oh,
like, this is the way it works.
Oh, okay.
All my instances of damages are applied at the same time. So the healer kills me after I win the game.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Sorry. I was actually like thinking about that wrong. I thought it was at the end. See, I keep thinking that like creep is like a thing that like actually happens at the end of the opponent's turn, but no, it's not.
Ooh, pack time.
Oh yeah, no way. Pack hype. We can end on the pack hype. 3 epics is okay. You know, you get.
It's better than my other packs. That's like 5 commons rare. You know, I'll take it.
Wildfire Aug's pretty good. So with that, do you have any shout outs that you want to give out to anybody before we wrap this up?
Well, I think you're doing an amazing job. Keep it up, man. I think you're doing a lot of great things for the community. I really love the community throwdowns. I also want to give a shout out to Counterplay, the entire dev team. I am actually amazed that a dev team this small has time and energy enough to put out a patch every week. I think that's amazing. I come from stuff like Scrolls, where it took them like a month to put out a patch, right? Or to even give people notifications that a patch was down the line, and so forth. It's kind of the same way. Like most of the other card games that I've played takes a long time, and I want to give it props. I think Eric does a lot of very great card designs. Give a shout out to Eric too. And generally just, shout out to the community. Keep playing, keep having fun, keep showing up for all the tournaments. Keep doing what you're doing.
All right, well, thanks a lot, MrCubez, for joining me, and look forward to seeing you in some Duelist Community Throwdowns when your hands are feeling good.
Thank you.
All right.